thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today's video is a fun one because this is just basically like the recipe for creating a gift box, for creating a card box, for creating any little boxes. I use these for gifting away packs of my cards or sets of them, sets of 5 or so, and the recipe kind of is just really simple. And if you know me, I'm not a big fan of measuring, so I'm going to start with a piece of 12 by 12 paper. Now, the one thing that I do love about what companies are starting to do, including this one, is the back page is that gorgeous pink watercolor. And I still think that it is so good when companies use packaging as an extra resource or an extra bonus. So I appreciate that. Now, I am just going to use my trimmer. I can extend the arm out on mine. Now, I always feel that I'm not particularly good at explaining sort of measurements and recipes and things. So I'm kind of going to show you the recipe, how I figure this out. Now for me, I usually, at the moment, I'm just cutting off the extra little information part that's down the bottom of every page. So now I've cut this down to be 12 by 12, but let me show you what I do. So this is just not to scale, this is just my sketch quickly. This is the page, this is how we kind of cut it down. So for me, I usually make 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cards. So doesn't matter whether you make 5 by 7 cards or 6 by 8 cards or whatever you prefer to make. This, I'll show you how I do it and then you'll get the gist of what to do. So to make a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card, I just add a 1/2 inch so that there is room for the cards, for embellishments and all that sort of thing. So obviously for me, the 4 1/4 is then going to become 4 3/4. So I add a 1/2 inch just for space. Now for this one, I'm actually going to make it 5 inches. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is you should add, in my opinion, I add a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch just for that extra space. So for me, because maths is easier, I made it 5 inches across. And so these folds where I've written a 1/2 inch, that's going to be the sides of the boxes. So I'm going to do 5 inches. So obviously all up, that's going to equal 11 1/2. And I just know that's how long I need to cut my 12 by 12 piece of paper. So you can add whatever you like. If you like to keep the boxes really tight and you're making 4 1/4 cards, then you might like to do only 4 1/2 inches for the base, but it's up to you. Again, so this would be the 5 1/2, 5 1/2 kind of down, and so I'm going to make it 6 1/4 because for this box I'm doing 3/4 of an inch bigger, just so that it's equal on both sides. Again, this bit here is going to be 1/2 inch because this is the sides of all the box. So the measurements are super easy. This is what I'm going to cut my box down to. Then all I do is score along all of those lines. Now I have in my trimmer, it takes a cutting blade and a scoring blade. They both sit on there and that makes life really easy for me. The white one is the scoring blade and the orange one is the trimming blade. And so I just know that I can kind of whip along here and put in my scores wherever they need to go. Now this is really tricky to see because it's white paper. I apologize for that, but I drew the little diagram so you kind of know exactly where I'm scoring. It's truly, you score kind of, 4 scores along one way and then 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. It's really, really simple, and this is kind of just the easiest box that I can create. So all of those lines that you saw in my little diagram earlier on are score lines. And as I said, you just work it out. Whatever size card you want, depending on how much space, I add at least a 1/2 inch. For me today, I added 3/4 of an inch. It doesn't matter. And then you just work out how tall you want the box to be, how much height it's going to have. For me, I find that 1/2 inch is good. I can easily fit 5 cards and 5 envelopes in there, and that is just kind of a really easy amount. Now, hopefully, along with my terrible diagram, my video, and me kind of using my voice, you're able to get the gist of this. But as you'll see in a second, when this comes together, it is very, very simple. So now I just crease all of my folds. You can use a bone folder, make it really pretty. I just do it with my hands, it's okay. The cardstock that I'm using is just medium weight cardstock. I wouldn't say it's extremely heavy. Then I just go down each side and cut upwards. That's all this is. So you're going to do 4 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it, 4 little cuts. And then this creates the little bit of your box. Now you might be saying, Both sides, the top and the bottom of the box, are going to be identical sizes. So they won't fit into each other. They'll meet in the middle. And I don't want them to meet in the middle. I want them to fit into each other. So this is basically how, I want to say lazy, but the word is efficient, I am. All I do, I decide which side is going to be the box. And when I'm doing this bit right here, I'm pulling these, see how I'm pulling the little tabs in and joining them together, and this creates the bottom of the box. All I do when I'm doing the top side, or just one, it doesn't matter which one, I just snidge it in a little closer. I just bring it in a little tighter than I did the other one. So I kind of force it in a little bit tighter. If you want to, you could score 1/16 or something teeny tiny, even half that, just a smidge in, 1 millimeter in, and that would also give you the same effect if you remembered which was the top and the bottom. But that's all I do. I just pull one in a little bit tighter. So for me, the top bit that I'm mitering the edges on is kind of the bit that's going to go inside of the other. So you'll see here, I just pull these little bits in gently, and then the box fits inside nicely, and you've got a gorgeous little gift box. It is so simple. Now I'm going to show you a couple of other little things here, just little tips that I have. This is a gorgeous box. See, that's the 1/2 inch all the way around that we created. As I said, this is just a personal preference. If you like it to be 1 inch, then make it accordingly. I have shared a couple of different styles on my channel for creating gift boxes. So if you search on there, you'll definitely find a few different options. One of them is more like a book kind, and I have a little slot that you kind of slide them into on each side, the envelopes and then the cards on the other side. So I have a few on my channel, but I'm just giving you really simple, quick, easy options. And I'm not a big fan of measuring, so this is about as good as it gets for me. Now, if I just pop the cards in there, you can see they have quite a bit of space to move around. If you don't like that, remember how I added 3/4 of an inch, so I made 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cards, and so with the 4 1/4 I made it 5 inches. Now you can, as I said, if you want less room for them to wiggle around, then so be it. Or when it comes to closing up these boxes, you could just do a simple ribbon and then put a little bit of hot glue. Or you could do it this kind of way and tie it. That looks stunning as well. But another option that I have that I tend to use and I really like is using these teeny tiny magnets. Now these have been around forever. These are still available, but these are the tiniest little magnets. Now I think they're they're less than 1/16 of an inch thick. They are just absolutely so slimline, and I love that. Now in the back there you saw one has a positive and a negative, a plus and a negative symbol, and so this just means you need one of each of those. You peel off the adhesive backing, put it where you need to go, and then what I do is I stick the other magnet, the negative side magnet, onto that one. Then take the release paper off of it, so you can see I've got both magnets there now, and I just peel it off and then put it closed and then press down, and the adhesive is nice and strong and it's in the exact right place to adhere together. That way these can just snap together, snap closed, and they are beautiful strong magnets, but so slim and just really small. But anyway, you can get different sizes of them, and being the same thickness, they are just absolutely brilliant. I love these. I've had them in my stash forever. I bought a few packets. I see that they're still available, so I'll link to them down below in case you're interested in checking them out. But this is also just a really quick and easy way. You could also attach a couple of ties to either side, and that could close it. I mean, lots of different options if you were to give this as a gift or give it away, or even have them for sale. Now, if you don't want to use dry adhesive, another little quick tip I have, so if you don't want to use like double-sided tape, I love the Heidi Swapp little stapler. This one is my favorite because this goes through so many layers. So I've got a piece of 110 pound cardstock, double it up, and it goes through this like a dream. It's not hard to press or anything, and then you can just go all day. But even if I take a piece of 110 pound cardstock and I double it up and you go through 4 layers of it, it's going to go through this perfectly fine. So here's 3 layers, and it's just going to go through super easy. So I have done this through many layers and it still works perfectly. So this is my favorite one if you prefer just to quickly staple around the edges. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.